Alright, so I'm going to basically try to tie together why I believe the occupation movement, Evolver, and Zeitgeist all directly correspond with each other and how they fit together. Some of you have heard my metaphors before, so you're going to hear them again. But I'm going to start with the Krishnamurti quote. We were saying how very important it is to bring about in the human mind the radical revolution. The crisis is a crisis in consciousness. The crisis that cannot anymore accept the old norms, the old patterns, the ancient traditions. And considering what the world is now, with all the misery, conflict, destructive brutality, aggression, and so on, man is still what he was, still brutal, violent, aggressive, acquisitive, competitive, and he has built a society along these lines. So, I'm part of all three movements, and I think the point of all three movements is the same thing. We all want to take our world back. We want to take our humanity back. We want to live in a world that's free to truly love each other unconditionally and pursue what our hearts truly desire. The competitive system was necessary for a long time because we used to have to do everything manually. The system is no longer relative, though, because we can now create abundance around the world. We've known since the 50s that we can house, feed, and clothe and educate every person on the planet. We're just not doing it because we've been brought up to believe in a system that is empirical and that the rules can never change. And the system itself is failing, so we're trapped in the clutches of a failing system, and it's going to take us down with us if we can't use our brains. The obsolete constructs of this system have reached their elasticity point, socially, economically, and spiritually. The constructs of the system have been stretched so far that now they fail to support us, but rather they enslave us. They enslave us in debt, in a false value system that serves to only churn the failing economy, and in prejudices that keep us from loving each other for who we are. Our society has reached an evolutionary cul-de-sac because we have followed it to its we have followed the dominant, male-driven competition path for so long that it's becoming abundantly clear that we will destroy ourselves if we keep moving in this direction without the equal balance of the quiet, female energy of compassion and cooperation. The problem is that our system doesn't have any mechanism built into it for this flexibility. It doesn't have anything built into its framework that allows the fundamental rules of the system itself to change or adapt, even when the change is required for the survival of the people it's supposed to be supporting. So we're currently reaching a tipping point for the competitive labor model known as technological unemployment. This is where automation is taking over as a superior labor force in almost every sector. Not only is this happening, it is an inevitable trend that will naturally follow technological advancement, because the very purpose of technology is to free us from labor. Machines will always work harder, faster, with almost zero error margin, and they don't take vacations, require medical plans, or have any of the baggage that comes with human employees. This obvious problem will only continue to get worse and worse because it is a necessity of our current economic model to keep us all in jobs, while at the same time, our advancing technology is rapidly making our need to perform manual labor obsolete. This means that people will continue to lose jobs, which will not come back, and all those consumers are therefore losing the purchasing power to keep the economy churning. There's no going back from this trend unless we simply break all of our advanced machines and refuse to progress forward anymore. So obviously going backwards is not the answer. The primary mandate of humanity should not be to simply keep everybody employed. So our system is going into seizure because it is less and less feasible to keep going forward in this direction, playing under these obsolete economic and social rules. So we must break up with the system. Like breaking up from a long-term relationship, we can't always know what the right thing is to do, but we can tell when it is the wrong thing to keep going in the direction that we're going. Like breaking up, our society is collectively experiencing the 5 stages of guilt that go along with this. The first one of these is denial. Denial that our system can keep going in this direction at full speed without destroying itself. The second is anger. when we realize that this is true, but understand that it means that that we were wrong this whole time, that we were deceived, and that we're actually going to have to sacrifice so much to fix the problem at this point. 3, bargaining. These are the bailouts and the legislations and all the band-aids that we're trying to do to fix the problem, instead of actually changing the situation. 4, depression. When we give up trying to fight and acknowledge that we have a very difficult road ahead of us, and that it's going to take a lot of time and work to make that transition. And 5, acceptance. When we're done moping about the long and difficult new road ahead of us, or how difficult the road is going to be, and actually get on the path to making a new future for ourselves. So this is why the occupation movement is happening right now. Because people all over the globe are reaching the limits of how much they are willing to take, and are saying that we should break up with the system and make something that actually works for everybody, not just the privileged. While the occupiers have come out for different reasons, they all stem from the same root causes. Each person has their individual set of filters on life and why they are unsatisfied. But they are all together in the one conviction that this is not working anymore and we need to do something. The occupation was an amazing event, and it is what it was, or it was what it was, because we are fighting with our hearts instead of with weapons. We are spreading love rather than spreading pain, and we are fighting because of love. We're fighting for all those people who don't even understand the reality of their situation only a little ways down the road. We're even fighting for them while they're fighting against us. The occupation is the Lovolution. It is the spirit of the 60s with the technology of today, which allows us to hold hands digitally around the world and communicate. We're sharing what works, we're sharing what doesn't work, what our hardest failures are, as well as our most glorious successes. I personally believe that the occupation in the heart of Calgary survived as long as it did because of the spiritual aspect that many of us brought to the camp with us. There was a continual push for peace, for meditation, for gathering to raise our energy and come together as one. Besides economic problems, our society keeps us from coming together as a community in the way that we did over the last 2 months. By working together, by sharing each other, and by resolving our problems as a family, we were able to maintain ourselves in a way that far outlasted expectation. It's hard to explain to people that weren't there just how powerful the love in the air was, and what it was like to have a 50-person random group hug. And what it was like to begin our meetings with group meditation and centering. The occupation brought loving, caring people with conviction out of the woodwork. While we were all having our own causes, we all share the passion to do the right thing and make the world better. And now we suddenly all know each other. Not only do we know each other, but we have shared an intimate time together for an extended period. We have been through traumatic situations together, and we have shared moments of ecstatic joy. Now we are more than a community, we are a family. And now we move forward together in this movement as a family. I'm going to share one last thing with you, and this is what ties it all together for me. Our current system keeps us too busy to worry about worrying about simply surviving. That we are unable to live in the way that we should be able to. We're unable to express ourselves as fully and as freely as possible because our time must be spent competing for resources. What expression we do make is often required to be hoarded out for the sake of profit. But what artists become artists because of the profit motive? What child draws and paints because they figure they'll make a lot of money in the future? No, they just want to express themselves. We do so to connect with each other and to share our ideas. Our self-expression is skewed when it is driven by the requirement to make a profit for the purpose of survival. So here's the question. If our survival needs were met, if all the things that we do just to keep ourselves alive and comfortable were no longer necessary, what would we have left? What else is there besides surviving? Experience and expression. We all come from the same source. And this is my philosophy that I share, so feel free to have your own, but I believe that we're all one, that we all come from the same place, that beyond our physical bodies and memories. When we die, we become one with each other again. When I look at you, I'm looking at me through a different set of eyes, with a different brain and a different set of synapses. When I hurt you, I'm hurting myself. When I love you, and loving myself. So this is why I believe that our purpose in life is to experience everything that we possibly can, to learn, touch, and feel everything that our minds can hold, and then to express what we think or think we know or feel back to each other and learn from each other. This is how we grow. This is how we evolve. On that note, I hope you're ready to have a hell of an experience tonight, and please feel free to express yourselves as wildly as possible. Peace and love to all.